Hi everyone. Today is Friday, June 19th, and it is day 9 of my 30-day Be Positive challenge. And today was actually a challenge for me. But my positive thought and word for today is peace. I just have to tell y'all how my day went today. It really set in and it really registered and made me realize how much these times and the world, the way it is now, how much I didn't realize it had affected me this way. The injustices, the unlawful killings of black men and women that have happened recently. And I told y'all in a previous video how seeing that video of George Floyd, how that really just hurt me. It really affected me, and not long after that, seeing that video, that was when I had blacked out. But anyway, but I hadn't had a experience, I guess, to realize how it really has affected me. So let me just tell y'all what happened. Today I was on my way to work this morning, going my usual route, and there's usually police officers parked in spots. You know, they're trying to get people, catch people speeding, to give them tickets. But I wasn't running late or anything, so I didn't think I was speeding. I didn't pay attention to the speedometer, but I thought that I was going the speed limit. But I'm driving down the highway and I see police lights come on behind my car, and I immediately knew that I was getting pulled over. But as soon as I saw those police lights blinking behind my car, I got so afraid, y'all. I got so afraid. And it's like all those faces of the black people that have recently been killed by policemen, it's like all those faces started flashing. Sandra Bland, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd. And as soon as I saw the lights, I immediately pulled over. And my hands went up, y'all. My hands went up. And this is not the first time I've been stopped by a policeman. It's been many years since I've been stopped, and I've never been afraid before. I've never had a bad experience in a traffic stop with a policeman. But it's just these times we are in, I did not realize how afraid I would be of getting stopped by a policeman, and a white policeman. And as soon I pulled over, y'all, my hands went up, because I was like, okay, he got to see my hands. I got nervous. I started shaking. I started crying. It's like I was panicking, and I was just holding my hands like this, and I was looking in my rearview mirror. I could see him getting out of his car, and y'all know how they walk with their hands, you know, to the side, and they keep their hands close to their gun, I guess, in case they have to pull it. And I saw his hand. He wasn't about to pull it. That's just, I guess, how they walked. I guess that's just their stance, to be on guard when they approach a car. Because I don't know if he could see who was in the car yet or not, but I just saw him walking. I saw he was a white policeman, and I was so afraid. I have never been that afraid. It's making me tear up now. I have never been afraid of getting pulled over by a policeman before in my life. I've never had a bad experience with a police officer, and I've gotten traffic stops before. But this time, just the things that are going on in this world, the way this president is trying to keep us divided, and just everything, y'all, I was afraid, and tears just started rolling down my eyes, and my hands went up, and I was, don't shoot. My hands were like this, and he approached the car, and he said, can I need to see your license and your insurance or registration, whatever they say. And I had my laptop bag, which was in the floor of my car, and I have a little plastic thing that I keep my, I have to show it to. My sister gave me this, I think as a gift or something. And this is what I keep all of my, I keep my ID, my credit cards and everything, all my little cards, and it stays in here safely. But it was in my laptop bag, which was in the floor of my car. And I asked him, I said, can I reach down? I said, can I reach down and get my ID out of my bag? And he said, yeah, sure. So y'all, I went to reach down. My hand was shaking just like this. I was trying to open it, I couldn't get it open. When I opened it, all my cards flew. That's how bad my hands were shaking. I finally got it, and he said, ma'am, he said, you can calm down. He said, it's okay. He said, you can calm down. And I said, I know. And finally I got my driver's license. I handed it to him, and I said, I put my hands back up. I said, my insurance is in the glove compartment. Can I reach and get my insurance papers out of my glove compartment? He said, yes, ma'am. He said, calm down. He said, you know, and he was trying to calm me down. He was introducing himself to me. He was telling me, I'm officer, I don't know what the hell he said his name was. I was scared, y'all. I remember him saying it, but I don't know what he said. And he was saying, I'm officer such and such. He said, ma'am, you're okay. He said, go ahead, just calm down, you're fine. So I reached for I opened my glove compartment, reached for my insurance, and when I get my insurance cards in the mail, I just put the whole envelope in the car. I never open it because it says these are your insurance cards, so I had a couple of them in there. So I just pulled one envelope out, and I said, I don't know if these are my recent, hold on, I told him, I don't know if these are my recent insurance card, but I got the app in my phone and it can show you my recent one. And he was like, it's okay. He said, I can run a check and see. And he said, well, the reason I stopped you is because you were going 52 in a 40-mile-per-hour zone. And I said, oh, okay. And he said, where are you going? And when he asked me, where are you going? Y'all, I burst out crying. I said, I'm going to work. I said, well, I'm on my way to the parking lot. I parked my car and I ride the bus to work. And he said, where do you work? And I told him where I worked. And he looked at my license, and he asked did I still live at the address that was on my license. And I told him no, because you know, my address has changed. And I handed him my whole insurance packet. I didn't go through it to pull out the insurance. I just handed him the whole thing. And so he looked at that, and he said, he called out my address that was on the insurance papers, and he said, so that's your address? And I said, yes. And he said, well, how long have you lived at this address? And I told him how long that I've lived here. And he said, just give me 1 second, I'll be right back. And he went to his car, and while he was sitting in his car, I could not stop crying, y'all. I could not stop crying. And it was just fear. I had so much fear, because in my mind I was thinking about, you know, the black people who've gotten killed and simply because they are black. And I'm thinking, I don't know really what was, I just know I was scared. And he wasn't rude or anything. I was just scared. I was just scared because he was a white police officer and I'm a black woman. And I can just imagine how black men feel. I can't imagine. I've never been afraid in a traffic stop before. And like I said before, I've never had a bad experience with a police officer. And the previous traffic stops that I got, and it's been years since I was been in a traffic stop, but you know, those policemen were white. There was one that was rude to me before, and he was actually a black policeman. He wasn't rude, kind of just arrogant. But the other ones, for the most part, were very, very cordial, very nice to me. And I'm just thinking, it's these times that we are living in, and the unlawful killing of the black people that have been going on. It had me so afraid of this policeman before he ever even approached my car. And when I saw that stance and I saw the gun, I don't know, and I just could not stop crying, y'all. So when he came back to my car and he said, I'm just gonna give you a warning. I know you're on your way to work, but just, you know, try to take it slow. And he said, I understand. And I kept crying. He said, why are you crying? And I told him, I said, I'm just scared. And he said, I understand. He said, I understand these are hard times that we're living in right now. He said, but not all of us are bad ones. He said, we're not all bad, okay? And he said, just slow down. And he was talking to me, and I think he told us, and he called me by my last name. He said, Miss, called me by my last name that was on my driver's license. He was very nice, y'all. Very, maybe he was extra nice because he saying that I was about to damn near hyperventilating. And but it's just these times that we're living in, y'all. And even after the traffic stop, after he let me go, I could not stop crying. I could not stop crying. I couldn't. And he let me go with a warning. And he probably did that because he probably said, this lady's about to have a heart attack. Because that's what I was damn near, felt like I was about to have a heart attack. And he was really nice. He was explaining to me that he understood when he asked me, why are you crying? And I said, I'm just scared. I'm scared. And he said, I understand. I know the times that we're living in. And he just went on to say, he said, we're not all bad. He said, there's still some good ones out here. And he said, you're okay. He was just kept telling me I was okay. He was very nice, y'all. Young officer. I wish I would have remembered his name, because he told me his name twice, and for the life of me I cannot remember. It's just these times. And so that's why my positive thought for today is just peace. When I was getting off today, I was at the bus stop waiting on the bus. This group of young people were coming towards me. A few girls and I think a couple of boys who were black and white young people. I would say kids, but I think I would say young adults. And one of them, she said, ma'am, have you seen the other protesters? They were looking for the other protesters, and a couple of them had their signs. And I said, no, I haven't seen them. And so I guess they stopped to wait on the other protesters or whoever that was coming with them. And I was getting ready to ask if I could take their picture, and my bus pulled up. And so as I was getting on the bus, I turned around and I told them, thank y'all for what you're doing. And they said, what we're trying to do. The young guy, he said, what we're trying to do. And I told him to be safe. So and that's it, peace, because I know today is Juneteenth, and I believe they're having another protest. And I was in downtown Dallas when I was getting off the bus next to where I work. So I was just I pray that it's a peaceful protest. And I'm so inspired by these young people today, y'all. These young adults. They have so much courage. Not just the black ones, the white ones that are friends and allies. And I'm just inspired by their courage, and that's why I told them thank you. It's just inspiring. So that's where my word for today is peace. And I'm probably just all over the place, y'all, because telling that story just made my nerves come up again. And I had No reason to be afraid, but I was. I was, just because he was a white police officer and I'm a black woman. That's why I was afraid. And I'll tell y'all about the few experiences that I have had with policemen living in Fort Worth, Texas. I've been stopped at least maybe 3 or 4 times when I worked for the hospital in Fort Worth by white police officers. One time I was speeding because I was taking my ex-husband to work because his car had stopped. So he worked down the street from my job. I was rushing to get him to work and try to get myself to work on time. I think I had even ran through a light. And this was the time, wasn't afraid, police officer, white police officer, turned the siren on, pulled me over. And he said, I believe he said, you know you're speeding, right? And I said, yes, because I knew, that day I knew I was speeding. I said, yes, I know. And he took my driver's license, and it was in August. My birthday is in August. And he came back to the car, and he said, I'm not going to give you a ticket so close to your birthday. And he told me to slow down. Pleasant experience. Other time I was stopped by a police, I mean, just, you know, regular traffic stop. The time I was stopped by a black police officer, he wasn't mean. He was just kind of like arrogant, like, what you was speeding for, you know. And I think I told him I wasn't speeding. And he said, well, I clocked you such and such and such. It was almost like he wanted to go back and forth. He wasn't, he was just, to me, just arrogant. So I won't say it was a bad experience. He wasn't as pleasant, you know, as the white policeman that had stopped me. And I don't want to say that as a negative on a bad black police officer. I don't want to, that was just my experience. That was the only time I've been stopped by a black police officer. So all the other times they were white policemen. And I was previously in a marriage where I was in a domestic violence situation, where my husband had been physically abusive. My ex-husband was physically abusive to me. We were living in Everman, Texas. And it's kind of, Everman almost kind of reminds you of the country. And where we lived at was right down the street from the police. It was the police department and the fire station connected. Fire department connected. And when he had physically abused me, I got away. I figured a way I got out of the house. And when I was able to get out of the house, I realized that he had blocked my car in. So I had my keys in my hand when I ran out of the house, but I couldn't go anywhere because he had parked his car right behind my car and I couldn't leave. But the police station was right down the street, and I remember I ran down there. I ran in the police department. And this police department, there were no black people, black policemen or employees there. So I told those policemen what had happened to me. They were white police officers. And that experience, they were so nice to me. The one that actually took my statement was very nice. And he was actually apologizing to me for what had happened to me. And he told me, he said, all men don't do this. And he said, I need to take pictures. I didn't realize that my face was bruised up. And I didn't realize that my lip was busted, because I guess while it was going on, you know, adrenaline's rushing. So the pain, or I didn't feel it yet. But he saw the bruises on my face, and he said, I need to take pictures of your bruises. And they had a little camera, digital camera, and he took pictures of me. And I think I had bruises like right here or on my neck or something. And he asked me, he said, do you mind going in the restroom? He said, because I think you may have bruises below. And he was a man, so he was so respectful, and he didn't want to take pictures, or I guess maybe it's against their policy or whatever to take pictures, you know, of me in the area. So he gave me the camera and told me to go to the restroom and to look to see if I had any more bruises, and if I could take a picture of them. And I did that. I came back out. They took my statement. Those men were so respectful to me, y'all. And they were even respectful to my ex-husband. You know, they didn't go guns drawn or nothing to get him. They told me to stay there, because like I said, we live right down the street. And they said they were going to go arrest him. And I stayed at the police department, and the police officer that took my statement, he came back and he said, we've taken him to jail. They said they knocked on the door, and he came to the door, and they told him that he was under arrest for family domestic violence. And he said my ex-husband asked if he could go put some shoes on, and he said they told him, no, you cannot, we have to detain you. Now they read him his rights or whatever, and took him to jail. And there was a time before that when I thought that he was gonna get abusive with me, and I called the police, and they came, they spoke with us, and they asked me, did I feel safe with him coming in the home? I told him no. They told him he had to leave, and they stayed there until he left. Those were white policemen. And there was a time when I was married to somebody else. Been married a few times now. I was married to someone else, and he called the police on me because he had spit in my face. And when he did that, I must have balled up my fist as hard as I could, and I bust him in the jaw. And he called the police on me. And the police came, and he was telling them, yeah, she hit me, blah blah this, blah blah that. I was just sitting there, I didn't say nothing. And two white police officers, they asked me, they said, ma'am, did you hit him? I said, yes, I did. I said, he spit in my face, and I hit him in the jaw. And so once I said that he spit in my face, I don't know if he had a bruise or not, but there was no evidence that he had spit in my face. And so they realized that he was really trying to get me sent to jail. And so what they said was, since you spit in her face, she defended herself. So they said they weren't gonna take either of us to jail, and they didn't. With the experiences that I've had, I really didn't have a reason to be afraid when that police stopped me, but I was. And it's just a result of the times that we're living in. And I wish I would have remembered that police officer's name, because he was really very kind, so I could thank him on this video. I just know he was an Arlington police officer, so if he sees this video, he stopped me this morning. I would like to tell him thank you. Thank you for being so kind and so comforting, because he did go out of his way to assure me that he wasn't there to harm me. I really can't remember everything he told me, y'all, because even when he was talking, I was still scared, and I was just crying. I could not stop crying. I could not stop shaking. I was just afraid. So thank you to the Arlington, Texas police officer for his kindness that he showed me this morning. And I would like for our country to be at peace. At peace. And not at war with one another.